clear to start.
All right, thank you. Okay, reading was given of the notice of the meeting through the Asbury Park Press as well as through the Coast Star. Let's see. All right, so we just have to go right to the pledge. All right, if you'll all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Yes.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Okay. All right, roll call. Johanna Robinson.
I'm here.
Thank you. Pat Hutchinson.
Here.
Thank you. Bruce Blattner.
Here.
Thank you. Bill Young.
Here.
Thank you. Darlene.
Here.
Thank you. I think that's all we have for tonight. I did receive notices that Charity would not be present, as well as Danielle and Dave. I did not hear from the mayor, but we have the rep here. So let's see. No, actually, I think Charity's the rep for the mayor. Okay, I'll have to check that for sure. Okay, I'd like to get an approval of the April meeting.
I will make that motion.
Okay, so that was Bruce. Anyone second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Okay, so Bruce and then Johanna. Okay, Lewis is going to give the library update.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm ready to go. A bunch of things to talk to you about today. Starting out community outreach. The last week on the 29th, I had a meeting. I was allowed to speak at the ADA committee meeting that they had about our visually services for the visual and physical impaired. They were very happy and impressed with the services that we had, and they're going to be happy to work with us in helping to get the word out to people in town as to what we have to offer for people who could need these services. They also gave me some contacts that I can use to reach out and help spread the word out as well, and maybe reach people who could use these services. And hopefully we can get them to start reaching out to us. We've already had one person call as a result of that meeting directly, and I have to get back to them tomorrow on that with some things that they asked about. This Wednesday, immediately after the Poetry Jam Cabaret at 7 p.m., I've been invited to speak at the Belmar Elementary School PTO virtual meeting on Zoom. Excuse me. I'll be talking to them about what services we have at the library. I'm going to be gearing my presentation to them specifically to what we have at the school that parents and students can utilize here as well, from talking about story time to emphasizing we have free Wi-Fi available on the lawn. So kids, if they need Wi-Fi to do their homework and they don't have it at home, or otherwise they can come to the front lawn after school and connect there. And other things as well. Dave Holman and I had a discussion recently, and he has set me up with contacts at both Belmar Elementary School and at St. Rose Grammar School, both of whom will happily relay information on events and other activities that we want to share with them. And the person will get them and know automatically to share them with their entire student bodies. So we've expanded our ability to get our word out to even a greater universe of people. And we're looking to hopefully grow that more with other groups. On Friday and the 14th, I will be visiting Danielle Arnold at the Belmar Elementary School Library to see what they have and to discuss more on strategies and what we can do to for both libraries to improve services for the students and youth. And I'm going to go into that into more detail in a few minutes. The next thing is program updates. We have been having, for poetry program, we've had some good success. We've been having live audiences for the events. We've had 2 so far, and this Wednesday we have our 3rd one coming up. We have 2 poets who have been on the previous events, and they're quite excited about it. Arthur Villot and VJ Joshi has been quite getting into with sharing poetry, some of their own, others written. I've been reading poetry myself onto this, and we're hoping to have more poets coming in soon. We've reached out to a few people who I thought maybe will be interested in it. Hopefully they'll get back to me in time for Wednesday. Just to give you an idea, while we have a light audience, like maybe anywhere between 2 to 10 at any time for these things, the post-event audience showing has been significant. You know, on Facebook, once the videos have been out, the first Poetry Jam Cabaret, which was held on the 14th, on Facebook, there's been 323 unique views who have at least partially watched the event, not necessarily in whole, and they could, and to be honest, a good number of them are brief ones. They're looking at it, they're watching for a few seconds or more just to see what it is, but they're at least stopping to look. And about 20% of them are actually watching longer, well into the video, if not the entire thing. So the second Poetry Jam, which was on the 28th, at this moment is running at about 183 unique views as well on Facebook. We are now at the stage where me and the other two poets are now planning out future sessions. They're getting more involved in the planning. They're more excited to hopefully maybe reach out and get more people to join us, and that's good. And so that's great. Author Time. We've had our second Author Time event recently. That had no live audience, unfortunately, for whatever reason. We did find an odd phenomenon that I've noticed with other events with Zoom, and that is we've been getting a lot of people reacting to our promotion of the event, where they would actually click the link and go to the Zoom page to register for the event, or at least think, but they don't do that. They don't actually commit to register at that time. I mean, we're talking about 323 people, according to Zoom, had looked at this event for this author talk, but only 4 registered to actually for the event, and none of them actually showed up. So I'm looking to see what's going on, what we can do to change that dynamic. But however, we still went ahead with the event. She and I held a discussion. We started it and stopped it just as we would a regular show. The video is now up and it's already has some views on there and people are watching. We do happen to have we seem to have better luck with a post-event audience than we do a live event. So I'm gonna be looking to see what we can do to improve that performance going forward. I'm sorry?
Is there a reminder that goes out to people who register?
Yes, but if there's only if there's only 4 people, the only reminders that I can do is, and I do blast out through Facebook and other channels, reminders that the event is coming up. And I try to do it even on the morning of the event as well. So again, I'm still figuring out what maybe there's some best practices I'm missing that we can use to for Zoom and other ways to get people to engage on that. I'm thinking maybe one obstacle is that people may not want to give their email or whatever, and so they don't register, and then they don't show up. But maybe next time if I remove that option, where I don't need to register, just click in and join in, that might help. So we're going to try it for the next one, see how it happens. Summer Youth Art Workshop is all set. It's going to be during July and August, 6 weeks, focused on countries that are participating in the Olympics. Dawn Lisco and I have already spoken about, we're going to be holding it in the back. We'll probably set up the tent for them to make sure that even in the hot sun, they're kind of shaded from the rays and everything, as well as any rain. And John Sabia and I are talking about how best to Zoom it, to all those technical details. But we're good to go on that as well. Summer Kickoff Library Lawn Concert with Pat Roddy is scheduled for June 10th. We've notified the Belmar Police Department of the date, so they'll be aware of and be ready to assist in any way if necessary. Also, and as with this and the Danny White concert, which is set for May 22nd, excuse me, John, Sammy, and I are are also going to be doing the details on the technical aspects of live performing it all. We're probably going to blast it out onto onto YouTube, and then post that on Facebook as well. And we shouldn't have any worries about copyright infringements for any of the songs, because there are rules for YouTube that allow for us to do what we're doing. The final thing is for Danny White is we have all they're bringing their own equipment, but we're going to be using, if necessary, as a backup, some of the equipment we have for the makerspace that we have for the audio programs, like microphones and extra cables should they need it. We have it here as a backup in the event. Finally, on this issue, Medici.tv. Jazz has been added to the Medici.tv subscription. We now have over 200 patrons can now connect to Medici and see over 200 programs on jazz musicians, jazz concerts, jazz documentaries. It's great, and that collection of jazz is only going to be growing. This has been brought to you and excuse me, courtesy of the Friends of the Library. I spoke with Anita Pecorelli, who is on, I see, the call, and she has graciously agreed to fund this for us as well. The library book sale, which brings me to the library book sale, which is this weekend. On Saturday between 9 to 4, we will be holding our book sale at during the townwide yard sale. We have right now hundreds of books available for sale, both fiction, nonfiction, kids books as well. These books we've accumulated through donations over the past couple of weeks that we started accepting donations. We have earlier books from earlier donations still set in the container, which will be brought over here soon. And also, as you recall, the last time we had a sale, I brought over a bunch of books that were from my warehouse collection. I'm bringing a bunch back over to donate for sale as well. But in this case, at the end of the thing, whatever's left over will retain in the container so that we don't have to worry about, mixing up and everything. So we're good for the library book sale. I will be selling all day with Anita. I will be working, volunteering my time, so I will not be on the clock during that day as I'm working with Anita on this. And Peggy has volunteered to come in and spend a couple hours to help with us that day too. If you or anyone else are able to come and help out, especially in the at 8 a.m. to help set up, or at 4 p.m. to help break down, that would be great. Any bit of help, every extra pair of hands would be welcome.
Do you need any signs made, Louis?
I'm sorry?
Do you need any signs made for prices?
That's a good question. Yeah, we can probably make the signs we need here. We need here in house.
Okay.
Basically, the books will be sold for $1 a piece, flat out. Boom. And maybe we'll do, and I'll talk to Anita with this, see if she's cool with it. Maybe we'll do, like, say, 5 books for $4 or 6 books for $5, or some kind of breakdown like that. So we'll do that, something like that. We received an email from Louise Krasnowicz, who, if most of you will recall, was a member of my advisory board when we were setting up the Makerspace. She is now the director or co-director of events and programming over at the Arts Center. And she reached out to us asking if, proposing that we collaborate together, the library and the Belmar Arts Council, in using a room that they turned at the Arts Center into a classroom, and possibly using that to share resources from the Makerspace in their classroom, so that we both can have, when the time comes, the ability to hold Makerspace classes and programs at the Arts Council. They'd be able to use our equipment as well for part of their programming. So it would be like a partnership event in that. They anticipate being able to open up in the midsummer for their place for programming and stuff. And she was asking if we would be interested in cooperating in that. I think it's a great idea. It's a unique alternative to waiting for the Lake Como situation to resolve itself. Doesn't have to be permanent. It could be like something for the time being. I think it's something that we should consider on that. Also, and I know there's going to have to be details worked out as to who's responsible for the equipment, what's going to happen security wise, access to the building, all these things have to be worked out. But as an initial offering to share resources, I think it's something that we should definitely be worthwhile discussing. Now, the next and pretty much the last thing I have is, but before I go into this last bit about what Sharon asked me to talk to you about, which is about technology for the young kids and young adults in the library. Does anybody have any questions or comments about what I've discussed so far? No? Okay, great.
Nope.
All right. So Sharon asked me last week to look into the possibility of what we need to do to replace the Chromebooks and maybe enhance our youth technology for what we have for the kids right now. And I started looking into it, did some research. I had a long 40-minute conversation with Danielle Arnold at the Belmar Elementary School, and a few things became quite clear. And that is that any technology upgrade that we do is going to need to be part of a larger reimagining of the children's and young adult sections. Okay, both in terms of technology, even the books and the layout, things that we have over here. In order for us to really make any investments we make in the technology to get the most bang for our buck and be a little smart about it too, is we're gonna have to take a step back and kind of relook at these things. It's gonna be a bit of a larger project, and I'll give you an idea what I'm talking about. At the Belmar Elementary School, according to Danielle, all grades from kindergarten to 8th grade are issued Chromebooks they're able to take home with them. They are entirely digital. Okay, all textbooks are either web-based or app-based. All homework is submitted digitally. All communications, such as announcements, assignments, etc., between students and teachers are sent via internal email. And this is likely the same or very similar at other schools, and even to some degree, possibly with homeschoolers. Okay, so students have everything they need near school-wise to complete their studies, their homework, including research, Wikipedia, Google, and all that stuff, except potentially Wi-Fi access when out of school. Okay, sometimes maybe they don't have Wi-Fi access at home, or maybe they don't have an ability to work quietly someplace. So one aspect that we already have that we really haven't advertised out as much, and that I'm going to start doing now, is that we do have this Wi-Fi access available right on the front lawn. But so that's one of the things I'm going to highlight to the PTO when I speak to them later. She also suggested a couple of things that we could do with the Chromebooks that we have. If the kids themselves don't really need to use the Chromebooks per se, because they already have everything on their Chromebooks, okay? And then one way we could use the Chromebooks is to use them as training tools for parents of preschoolers about to go into the elementary school, to train them how to use Google Calendar. Google Classroom, excuse me, and other applications that they're going to need to know to set up their children when they come home, should the kids have a difficulty. And that could be done in like a little quickie 2-week program if possible. So that's a interesting idea that she came up with, that she is basing that. What will be helpful really is if at some point if we could bring on board someone who is a Spanish speaker who can hold those classes, that would be also very valuable as well. So there may be need to upgrade Chromebooks in terms of maybe their speed or capabilities. but we need to explore that a little bit more. But one of the things that really I found interesting about this whole thing, as I researched this online and saw what other libraries are doing, is the realization is that technology is more than just equipment that kids and teens can use. It's also about what staff can use to engage with kids. You know, we should be exploring tech solutions and programs that will not only engage them and be used by the children alone, but also used by staff to interact with the kids and encourage them to read books and learn how to learn from them. I'll give you an example. I saw a video of a librarian who during story time, in addition to the book that she had a large screen iPad. And she used that iPad to introduce the kids to some of the topics in the book. You know, for example, if we did a story time with, say, Hector and the Hummingbird, which we did for a story time last year, the teacher would have the librarian or the staff member would have the iPad and introduce. Today we're doing a story with a bear and a hummingbird, and like, here's a bear, and there's be a picture of a bear, and they'd be talking about the bear a little bit. There'd be a little sound saying, hearing the bear roar, and then they'd talk a little bit about the hummingbird. Kind of engage the kids in something technology-wise, which captures their attention and gets them involved in the story. And then it goes through the story like that. This is an example of what a staff using technology with the kids and engaging with them, in addition to just having technology just for the kids to use. But that leads to something that we may also need to explore, which is a culture change to some degree. And that's where we're talking about, where instead of looking at something to give the kids to do or to use without any engagement by us at the staff, you know, we can start talking about, well, what can we do with technology to engage them, to get them to come in or to use library books or to download ebooks from our collections as well. And so we could be doing things like, for example, video reviews of books for young adults and even kids, you know, quick 5-minute blurbs of, hey, we can talk about this book today. This book has this, it does that, and here's why it's so cool, and that kind of thing. This is a big thing in the sense that it takes a lot more it's not something that I could present a clear, cohesive action plan today. This is something I want to explore more, and what I'm going to be doing is putting together a more cohesive white paper, if you will, on this to present at the next month's meeting. But I just want to let you know where this is potentially going. And what's good about this is that the good news is that we have a lot of the tools and resources already. We may not have to spend significantly on new technology. I'm not saying that we shouldn't we shouldn't be ready to do so, but we have a lot that we can do already that we can change around just by reutilizing certain things or rethinking certain things. It's a big thing, but it's something I think it'll go back to like what Sharon, you and I were talking about earlier with the Boy Scouts, and that is getting them, for the library to get in and engage with the community and have them participate and work with us and be part of us so that we become more relevant in their lives. And that's going to take part of us being more open and engaging and interactive with them. So I'll have something more concrete, more laid out plan on this, more research involved. Obviously, I'll be talking with Danielle more on this topic. But that's pretty much where I am on that right now. Any questions, comments?
Hey, Louis, it's Bill. So can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Bill.
So if I get you right, we really don't need the Chromebooks for the need we did when we first got them because everybody has them.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
Everyone has them. Okay. Everyone in the Belmar Elementary School universe has them, shall we say. We have to remember that we cater to a much larger universe as well. We have kids that are either homeschooled. We have kids that are in St. Rose Grammar School that are in town, and so we have to be able to have something for them too. So the Chromebooks can be more necessary. Remember, one of the big noticings we did notice from Chromebook use prior to the pandemic has been that a lot of the kids using the Chromebooks were St. Rose kids. Okay, you can see that they come in their uniforms. So now some of them did homework, others played games. But what you saw was the kids were using them on their own with little interaction with us, aside from, hey, keep it down, quiet, you're making too much noise. You know, maybe that's something what we need to do is kind of change that dynamic where when they're coming in, if we can work it so that certain programs and activities that we do, and this is going to happen when we reopen, apparently, ultimately, is that if we can get them engaged in activities and programs with using those Chromebooks or using some other technology, things like that, that would be great. And a lot of times, and maybe that the way to entice them to get them involved there is through the use of our YouTube channels and Zoom and all this other stuff as well. So yeah, so I think we definitely need to have the Chromebooks. I think we may need to upgrade them. We have to test them and see where they are. They are over 6-7 years old, and as you know, that's ancient in technology terms. So I'll have a more clearer answer on that next month.
So we still need the equipment. It's just that it has a different need today.
Right. It's all about rethinking and reimagining what we have.
Okay.
The other thing that Danielle and I realized is that her target audience is different from ours, and in the sense that while she has to cater to all kids in her school, regardless of reading interest, you know, basically as a public library, as much as we want to encourage, engage people to come in and read and grow and stuff like that, ultimately, to some degree, we're going to be catering to those who actually come in and use the library. No amount of engagement, I mean, no amount of inducing or whatever is going to bring people who are not interested in reading to come to the library, no matter what we do. But we can take those that do come to the library and find out and focus on what their needs are and make sure we speak to them and serve to them as well.
All right, so I'm interested in seeing, you know, what comes out for next month, because it appears that a lot of changes are taking place in town. So this may be just another one.
Yes.
Okay, any other comments or questions for Louis at this point? Well, thank you, Louis, for a very detailed report. We appreciate it a lot. We know that the library is doing lots and lots of things. I stop in, he knows, I stop in at least once or twice each week, just to try to keep on point as to everything that's going on. So that's great. Okay, moving on, because we want to make this a short meeting, so hopefully it will be. Bill, do we have something that we can mention to the group regarding
Yes.
the strategic plan?
We
Perfect.
have an update. So I closed the loop with all the members. No more comments to the document. I did get something from Ro about something to maybe include. I've got to take a look at that and I'll incorporate it in the document and I'll send it to you for final form. I can't do it tomorrow. I'm going to be up in the city, but I'll get it to you on Wednesday.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right.
Robbery and attempted murder.
Yeah, we heard.
He was giving you the same report?
I was getting old news from him, yes.
Yeah, for those that weren't in before, we were talking about that there was potentially a robbery that took place in town, possibly on 9th in the 100 block, I think you said, Johanna, in which there was an attempted murder as well as robbery, and there was an individual on the loose, supposedly, that had blood on his shirt, and he had dropped a knife, and that's all we had. But there were several police, sheriffs, out of town cops around. So I told my husband, as I'm getting ready right after the meeting to walk the dog, I'm going to wake him up and say, you're going to walk with me. They haven't mentioned
That occurred this afternoon.
Yes.
Yes.
But has the individual been apprehended or?
I can't really say.
Okay.
It's an ongoing.
I know. We just want to know if it's safe to walk, Bruce. I don't need to know who it was or whatever. I just want to know if am I safe to walk my dog tonight?
I would think so.
Oh, okay, good. I feel better. Okay, thanks.
Maybe.
Maybe. I
Maybe.
still might wake my husband up. Okay.
That's a very good idea.
Okay.
Chairwoman, one question on that issue. So there was an attempted murder?
That's what Johanna said, and it was post.
Oh,
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, this wasn't small, this was big.
That's
wow.
what they were posting, yeah. And they just had a news break, but I didn't get to see what it, because we're on the meeting, but
Mhm.
it popped up on the phone, so I don't know what they were saying, what else they were saying, so.
All right, stay inside, lock your doors, as they say. Okay, I really don't have a treasurer's report because hopefully we'll be taking care of that scenario this evening. It's kind of an ongoing thing. I do go and I pick up a copy of the budget every month. I look it over to see if there's anything that seems to be odd or unusual or anything like that, and try to see if I can get it resolved through either Bridget or Christine. Everything seemed pretty much up to date, but I just am still waiting for some figures from the borough regarding the financial budget, which I understand hasn't been finalized. I think it'll be finalized next month, as well as what monies may need to be reverted because of excess funds. So hopefully that will be figured out for the next meeting. And I do apologize, but without having a treasurer, it's a little bit hard for me to do a lot of these things all at once, but I will go to the president's report. Okay, so the first item I just mentioned, which was about me getting information from the borough, so hopefully that will be done for next month. These are the topics that I did work on over the last 4 weeks. I approached a local Eagle Scout group to ask if they'd be interested in creating additional little libraries to be placed along the boardwalk. I did get a confirmed person who said that his son would be very interested in working on that for the early fall. That's going to be his project. I also asked the group if they'd be able to possibly resurface the 2 IPE wooden benches that we have around the Rose Garden. And they said, yes, the younger boys should be able to do that. I will probably have to find out what specific oil is supposed to be put on those benches, but I know that they require some sanding as well as applying a new coat of oil on it. So hopefully for this spring, summer, we'll have some better looking benches that are out there right now. We did install, meaning DPW, I helped purchased because I did the research on it, but we had been looking at this, and for those that have been on the board for a while, you'll know that we've been trying to get the iron benches in Sharon Day's honor. She was a former employee of the borough as well as the library. So 2 of the new
Right.
white wrought iron benches have been installed and wrapped around 2 of the trees. I did send pictures out, so hopefully everyone had a chance to look at those. The memorial plaques are to be ordered, and I think Louis said he would help me find out what they would cost to have those small plaques put on the benches, so it would mention something in her honor.
I should, Sharon, if I may just interject real quick. I had a conversation with Steve Day on this, and he has requested to add in some verbiage to what we had. So he should be getting that back to me in the next few days. And then
Perfect.
we'll put it, and I'll have a merged message to share soon.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, the library, specifically Roe and Lewis, I know have been involved with the borough in anticipation of possible reopening the library. We still are in phase 3, soon to move into 4 and 5. But their lengthy plan, which is 3 pages long, I just got a copy of it now just to look at it to see what kinds of things. But some of the categories that they've been very involved with are safety, security, library operations, services, as well as technology. So since nothing has been approved yet in terms of all of those things, these are just suggestions, but I'll just give you a quick overview of just a couple of the items. So for safety, we have to look at the number that's allowed right now. I believe the number that's allowed is 50%. Am I correct there, Louis?
Yes.
It's 50%. So we did have a number that was given to us by Ryan from the fire department. But that number, I think, includes both upstairs and downstairs. So we think that might be approving 25 and 25, which we still think is quite a few people to be in one area at one time, but that's something. Mask wearing, excuse me, still has to be utilized. Social distancing. removing chairs so that there's mostly, it's just walking around and picking out books and DVDs and things like that, but not really sitting and staying for a long period of time. They're not quite sure whether we're going to be starting with the computers or not. The new computers are not in the building yet. The monitors are in the building right now.
If I may correct you, Sharon, we do have the computers. It just has to be installed.
Okay.
Yeah.
And updated, right. So then also finding out what hours we're going to have limited hours. It's not going to be all the hours that we had before initially. It'll be going in stages. Possibly converting our temporary cards to regular cards, or even looking into, which was something we talked about before, maybe finding out if there's a digital way that we can somehow have cards so that you don't actually have to touch everything, that you can maybe just swipe it or something like that. So we're trying to find out what some of the other libraries are utilizing. And then, of course, we did update with our webpage, so that should be helping with blasting out a lot more information out to our public and making sure that they're aware of all of the programs that we do offer. And then, of course, there's the various parts of cleaning the library. There's not only the clearing off, disinfecting, deep cleaning, all of that kind of things, but also cleaning out the shed and restoring the benches, which I just talked about outside, putting a protective guard around the AC compressor unit, which is outside the media room, clearing our gutters, and so on. So there's a lengthy list that they've really worked on, quite detailed. So we just have to see which of these things are high priorities prior to the library opening and which ones can be done while the library is in partial open. Let's see, what else do I have? The Friends of the Library has graciously offered to sell books during this weekend's sale. I know Louis mentioned it already. It's this weekend from 9 to 4. Let's see, New Jersey Monthly. Oh, this was something I found out this weekend. New Jersey Monthly is running a scavenger hunt that includes our library as one of the iconic sites included in their 36 locations. So what I did do, I didn't send it out prior, but I'll send it as soon as this meeting is over because I have it already put together an email letting everyone know all of the 36 sites and where we're located on it. But it's a very cute page, kind of show you what it looks like. Okay, so you can see New Jersey scavenger hunt, and it has all 36 areas on there, and we are located in the down the shore area, along with Tilly the Clown at the Wonder Bar, the Seagirt Lighthouse, Chicken or the Egg in Beach Haven, the Sightseer Tram Car in Wildwood, and the Emlyn Physic Estate, which is in Cape May. And what happens is if you do all of the areas in one section, you have a chance of winning a $100 American Express gift card, and there is a runner-up. And then if you conduct and complete all 36 destinations, which includes a selfie, you will have an opportunity to win a $250 gift card from a jewelry store, as well as a 12-month subscription to New Jersey Monthly. But I just thought it was so funny that these people were walking by the guitar over the weekend as I was walking my dog. And I said, "Oh, are you looking for Bruce?" And they were like, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, you know, he's not really here." And I explained a little bit of the history of the E Street brand and whatever. And I said, "Oh, what are you doing?" And then they said, "Oh, we're doing the scavenger hunt," which I thought was just so funny. I was like, "Really?" So anyway, I will share that site with all of you as well as with the library. The head of DPW, John McGuire, will be asking him if possibly they can take on pruning the bushes, as well as some of the other projects that we need done on the property, because that kind of falls into our capital improvement plan. So for example, our gutters, we have basically vines growing out of some of the gutters, especially those in the front. We need resurfacing of the back chimney, replacing some of the broken plexiglass that are surrounding the windows. So we're protecting our iridescent glass, which is part of the original glass of the building. And so we're waiting to find out more about that. Before the library opens, we still need some new plexiglass partitions to be cut or reordered so that the books can actually feed through the opening in the library. And let's see, what else did I have on here? Oh, we already have the art project, which we already talked about. And then the last thing is there were updates regarding the garden work being completed by David Sweeten, who's our local gardener. The rose bushes have been reordered to replace the diseased ones. And in addition, seagrass should be replaced to the left of the front door steps. And then there was also a suggestion made to remove and possibly retransplant the crepe myrtle trees, which are blocking the front windows of the library. And so we have to, again, check to see if that can be done by DPW or if we have to actually hire from an approved vendor. And that is all I have to mention for tonight.
Sharon,
Yes, Bruce.
it's Bruce. Do we have any target date at all as far as the reopening?
No, we are still in the phase, is it 3, Louis?
Phase 3, yes.
Yes, we are still in
Okay.
phase 3. And we have been checking with local libraries to see what some of them are doing as well, but we have to follow, of course, what our governor has stated, as well as following what our town has set up in terms of what they have for borough. You notice you can't get in borough yet. So
Correct.
in borough, you can't get in the library. So
Right.
we're kind of having to abide by, all of the rules and regs. And I'm just hoping for our sake that we have some advance notice so that it's not a matter of, oh, and by the way, we're reopening in 3 days. We need more than 3 days to be able to do so. So that's why I've been kind of adamant about trying to stop by quite often to the library and finding out what are our priority items. What do we have to get done first? And what can we get done now while we're not officially open to the public?
Right. Okay. Thank you.
So that's what I've been attempting to keep on top of. Okay, any old business that anyone needs to bring up?
I don't know if this falls under old business, but our search for our librarian.
Oh, that's the one thing I skipped. I'm sorry. Thank you for reminding me. This is the most important thing I had today, and I should have bold-faced it on my list. I just found out today. I was just informed today that civil service has 2 potential candidates for director that have successfully completed their exam. So I'm awaiting their forms so that we know then how to proceed. Who do we interview? What's the interview process now? Do we get to choose from the 2? Do we have to take, since this is now civil service, which is all new for all of us, how do we go about this so that we don't have any problems like we had before? So the good news is, yes, we have candidates, and that's something that we've only waited 2 years for.
Along those lines, we had discussed Danielle from the elementary school.
Correct.
As a potential candidate.
Correct.
What is our feeling on that?
Well, I was putting that in the second section, which was going to be the closed session.
Oh, okay.
So,
later on in this meeting.
Yes. So
Okay, we'll discuss it then. No problem. Okay.
Okay. Anyone else have any new business?
Yes.
Okay.
Do we need to appoint a treasurer?
That's also in closed session.
Okay.
Okay.
And what about, had Jerry submitted her final
Yes.
resignation?
Yes, she sent that in last month.
Okay. Let's see, and any other new business? Just a reminder that we all need to do that financial disclosure.
Yes, I believe it was due, when is, well, I did mine. Is there anyone else that still has theirs to do?
I did mine, but I believe there was an extension till the end of June, if I'm not mistaken.
It's June 30th.
Okay.
June 30th. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so you know what I will do? I will send out a reminder just in case. I know, I think, Darlene, did you do yours yet? I think she's on.
Muted.
I have to do mine, Sharon. I'm gonna do it this weekend.
Okay, all right. I knew there were like 1 or 2 people, so I just want to make sure, because trust me, you just want to get it done. It's real easy. And once you've got it done the first time, the next year, everything transfers over. So you just basically have to hit next, and then you're completed. So.
Right, it was easy, yes.
Okay, so.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So I'll send out a reminder notice. And you said it was June 30th, Johanna?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'll send out a reminder regarding that.
One other thing, I don't want to interrupt. Johanna, were you done?
Yeah, she's muted.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Preparation for a summer reading list from the schools, that we're, I know it might be a little early, but, ahead of time that we're prepared, with our books and stuff for a summer reading list.
Right. Yeah, we discussed that before. I think Louis will answer that question. Go ahead, Louis.
Yeah, right now the school is going to be sticking with the same program. They're not adding list titles, but what they're doing is they are going to be assigning one title only per grade level. And
I
that
see.
title will be mandatory for the kids. And the kids are not going to be needing the books because they're going to be sent to them digitally. So they'll
I
be
see.
able to
Okay.
read either a PDF version of the book or some other downloaded version of the ebook in there. So in this year, at least, we don't have to worry about supplying books of those titles the same way we've done in the past. Okay.
I see.
However,
Okay.
she and I will talk more about how we can incorporate the summer reading program Zoom event with them as well, whether we use that title or maybe open it up to a title that they choose or we choose for them in addition to that, get a little variety, but I'll have more on that later.
Okay, Louis,
Very good. Thank you, Louis.
I think Anita has her hand up for comments, I think.
Oh, she does? Okay, let me bring her on. Okay, Anita, go ahead. You got to unmute yourself.
Okay, you're on.
Hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
You mentioned the book sale. There's also going to be a bake sale. So if anybody, wanted to drop off items or, with that,
I'm sorry, Anita, you broke up a little bit. You were saying about a bake sale?
sale. We're also going to have a bake sale. So we're going to get water and some muffins and stuff. So if anybody was inclined to,
Okay.
Okay, I think she said books and donuts or books and
Yeah.
baked items.
Books and bake
Okay.
sale. All right, sounds good to me. Hey, and bring in the money. Bring in the money. That's what we want. That sounds good to me. Thank you, Anita.
Okay. All right.
Hey, Sharon, it's Bill. Before we
Yes.
move on, can we go back to old business for a minute?
Sure.
A couple meetings ago, we talked about forming a group to look at the capital plan that was been talked about and update it and refresh it and get budget numbers and things like that. Have you made any decisions on who's on that group?
I thought I sent you an email.
I've been looking for it and I can't find it.
Okay, I'll look. I know if I go off right now, I'm gonna get lost.
Yeah,
because I did that
tomorrow's
once
fine.
before and I got lost, but I promise you right after the meeting, I will send it. I know that some of the items, because I had this on my list in front of me, were some of the things that we were thinking of were the chimney and the facade repair. We talked about the foyer floor. As soon as you walk in, it's very weak, right in the front, as soon as you enter through the front door. We
Gotcha.
also talked about that front door replacement because it has all of the condensation that keeps collecting between the two panes.
Right.
And we have to get a canopy installation to help keep the warranty on that door. That's what we didn't do last time. Or unfortunately, I don't remember whether it was Mazer or whatever, but when the door was replaced, they never replaced the canopy. And that's why the warranty was broken, because we didn't follow in on that. I know we still have windows. I also.
Yeah, the windows was a big one.
Yeah, we know that that's going to be a big one. And I have looked, I was talking to Ro earlier today, because I still, my love, of course, I love those windows, would be to possibly refurbish them, which is what we had talked about like 2-3 years ago.
Right.
Which means you basically put 2 pieces of glass on the inside and outside of the original glass, and that helps to protect the original glass. So far, I've only found one place that said they might be able to do it, but I'd rather get a couple of quotes, of course, because I want someone that's done them before rather than someone who thinks they can do it. We don't want them to use us as the guinea pigs.
Right.
And then there were a couple other things. I know we talked about the staff restroom. They really need a staff restroom, as well as the rear door. The rear door for the ADA, the downstairs door, that still is not working properly, as well as the intercoms not working properly. And that also requires a canopy back there. Now, from what Rowan mentioned is, and I think Lewis and Roe both worked on this, they said that we should probably go back and look at Dennis Colwell's, that feasibility study that we paid for a couple of years ago,
Right.
which he had those suggestions in there, and we could possibly use some of that information. And then Roe also mentioned that there is a second round of the library construction bonds. However, the deadline is June 4th. And they said that we might be able to use a lot of the stuff that's in this, the feasibility study to work on that. So that was a thought.
You mean to put together an application and submit it?
Correct, correct.
How difficult can that be?
I've never written a grant. I've read a couple of grants, but I've never written one. And I know at one point, Mr. Hallman had mentioned that he might have a couple of teachers that might be interested, and the way he worked it in terms of how they were paid was a little bit differently than what we would be able to do. But I'm wondering if we could kind of, I don't know, subcontract someone to be able to do something.
I'm with you on that. I don't think we should miss this opportunity.
Yeah, this is something that we should jump on because, you know, who's to say there'll be a third round?
Yeah.
So I just want to share something with you on grant writing. In my current position, we're looking to hire a grant writer. And we got two different proposals. One was not a lot of money. I can't say what it was because it's not a done deal yet. But if that process cost us $5,000, it's $5,000 well spent.
Right, right.
$5,000 is nothing.
Yeah, especially for what we're looking for. I mean, at one point, we were looking for a possible addition to the building, and that was what he had basically worked on, extending it out to the East Street area, But, I think it would be great to be able to have that opportunity. And I think this year is the year we have more money than we've had.
Right.
So if there was a year to spend money, and I'm not one to spend money, you know me, but if there was a year to spend money, this would be the year to do it when we have more than we normally would because of.
No, I'm with you. We haven't been open for a year, so a lot of our costs have been reduced.
Right, right. But what I can do then is, I'm writing myself a note now, to see if I can send an email to Dave, asking him if there is a staff member that might be able to work on something in 2 weeks. I mean, that's our deadline. It's 2 weeks.
For some reason, I believe Danielle was familiar with grant writing. If I may be wrong, but I thought Danielle in the school system was familiar with grant writing, had that knowledge and expertise.
I do believe that she mentioned it at a meeting too, one of our previous meetings, that she does do grant writing.
So,
but I think,
yeah, so maybe that's a possibility. I mean, do we have to vote on that to see if, well, first, I guess we would just see if she's interested, correct? That would be step one, to see if she's interested and if she thinks she might be able to do it. I mean, the saving grace is, there's kind of Memorial Day weekend built in, so it's kind of like a little long weekend. And if she can kind of knock it out and we provide her with a copy of the feasibility study, she might be able to do that, because it says.
I make a motion, we do that we give you the authority to work with this woman, Danielle, to put together a deal, as long as it comes under the threshold of spending where you don't have to go out to bid. Why not? Money well spent.
I'll second Bill's motion.
Okay.
And we'd also need to look at what she might need to be paid for that too.
That's what I put down. How would payment be and how much would payment be? Yeah. And maybe Bill, you could just give me well, do you think, I don't think 5,000 would be the amount she would probably be asking, but I don't know. I'll probably have to talk to Dave about that.
I'll find out what the threshold is.
Okay. Yeah, that would help because then I'd at least know. That might be an incentive. Hey, if someone's going to write me a check for three or four, 5,000 to do something in 2 weeks, I might be interested.
Right.